Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Aston Williams again coming to you live in effect with the Melanated Travelers Podcast, a podcast for the people, aka the New Green Book, aka the #1 travel podcast in the world. I have an amazing guest in the building to share somewhat of a different perspective that y'all haven't heard on any of the episodes. So I have Miss Niesha Walker here. Niesha, you wanna say hello to the people?
Hey y'all, what's going on?
Good, good, good. So Naisha, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. She
Mhm.
moved to the A. Maybe I need to move to the A because mostly everybody I interview seem like they go to
From
Atlanta. They go to Atlanta, which is a great city.
yeah.
Shout out to Atlanta, man. Shout out to Atlanta for the vibrant city that it
hmm
is, and the way it attracts us.
hmm
Um, I call it the chocolate city. That's what I call it. Atlanta. And so Naisha is she has four amazing children. 11, 7, 5, and soon to be 2-year-old. Correct?
Yes, on
Yes,
Thanksgiving.
yes. So four amazing kids, and what makes her so special is outside of that, she calls herself the fearless mommy. Right, the fearless mommy. She
Yes.
travels. She travels domestically. She also travels internationally with her children. So it's amazing to have you on. I'm super super excited to dive into this episode. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to share with the people before we get started?
Nah, I'm ready to hop right in.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So we gonna start off. We gonna start off like this. Let's start off with your why. Let's start off with your why. What sparked your interest? If you take it all the way back to Cincinnati, Ohio, like what started your interest or your spark to say, like, you know what, growing up, I see all these different locations in books. I want to see it in person. What sparked that interest for you?
Okay, so when I was about, I don't even remember, but I know every year for Thanksgiving we went to. My mom had a friend. She grew up here, lived here in Cincinnati, and then she transitioned to Brooklyn, New York. And so every year, I remember we went there for Thanksgiving. We rode the Greyhound and went to New York. Of course, we did New York things, so we were in Manhattan and all that. And that was like my first of just traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess you would say the passion just grew from there.
Wow, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been to New York yet. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh
That's
wow, you gotta
crazy. I
go. You
wanna.
gotta
I
go.
know. I know. I know. I need to go. Shout out to Jet Set Jose. Shout out to Choose to Explore. That's some of my other fellow travel creators up there in the NYC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, you gotta get there.
I'm definitely
Gotta-
gonna get there.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the persona of you know the concept of you know your business, your name, the fearless mommy. Like where does that come from?
Where did it
Obviously
come from?
that word is powerful. So
Yes.
you can this platform is open. You can dive as deep as you want. Truly, truly, truly amazed by your story, and give
Mm-hmm.
you the opportunity to share your story and where that name
Where it
transpired
came
from.
from? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so crazy how the name actually fits the story. But okay, so at the time before, okay, let's go back. All right, so my 5-year-old, who's soon to be 6, um, at the time I was pregnant with her, and I was due December 6th. End up having her December 4th, and I remember getting home from the hospital after having her, and I called one of my closest friends, and I was like, "Hey," because I had been talking about starting a blog, and just did never put the foot on the gas. So literally, when I got home, I mean, I'm talking about a couple of days after having a baby, I
Mm-hmm.
called her and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to do my blog and I'm going to launch it by New Year's, which was January of 2018." And in the midst of that, I didn't have a name, so I got to writing, just like things that meant or basically depicted where I was at in my life at that point. And at that time, I was in an abusive relationship, and I was with her father, and then my son's father. So I was with him pretty much on the verge of the end of that because I had agreed to try to co-parent in the same home and not in a relationship, but for the convenience of basically for someone else. Okay. Um, didn't work out. But back to name. So in the midst of trying to pick a name, it's just like that stuck with me. Like I literally wrote it out, literally the fearless mommy. And I rolled
Wow.
with it because that's where I was at in my life. At that point, I had to be very fearless. I had made a decision that I was going to get me and my children out of that toxic environment, and I did. So we left in July of 2018 is when I left. I was able to find a program for me and my children, and that was that. And then I don't know how far you went to my story, but he ended up getting killed in October of 2018 by a woman with his own gun. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it was a lot. Of course, I'm grieving for my kids because they lost their father, but yeah, it was a lot. So of course I went to therapy. Just did a lot of self work, and that's where the fitness come in. I started working out. Just it was a decompress for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What I mean, I'm interested from this concept, and it's not to market or to highlight. I know I brought up Atlanta at the beginning of that episode, but
Hmm.
um, everybody has their reason, right? But what made you say, okay, all right, I grew up in the north. Um, let's see what the South got to offer. What
Mm.
made you decide to say, you know what, I wanna migrate myself and my children to Atlanta?
So I went to Atlanta with no kids.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry,
I went
sorry,
to
sorry.
Atlanta with no kids. I've been
Got you.
I went to Atlanta in 2008,
Ah,
and
okay.
I actually had before I went in 2008. I had a chance prior to that to go. One of my closest friends. I went to University of Cincinnati, and met one of my really closest friends to this day there, and she ended up transferring from University of Cincinnati to Clark, Atlanta, and she wanted me to come with her, but I'm born and raised here. I'm like, girl, so I didn't go. And she lived in Columbus, Ohio, so she would, on a break, she would drive, from Atlanta to Columbus, and she would stop through Cincinnati. And this particular time, she was stopping through, and I was off. I was working at Victoria's Secret at the time. I was off a whole week, and I was like, I'm gonna hop in the car with you. So I went to Atlanta, and I was in my 20s, so we just partied like the
Oh
whole
yeah,
week,
yeah,
did
yeah.
Atlanta stuff,
Hotlanta,
and
Hotlanta. You went to Hotlanta.
hot Atlanta, okay. And I literally came back to Cincinnati and packed up and went right back to Atlanta, and been there since.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's amazing. I don't want to skip Cincinnati for a
Hmm.
second. I don't want to skip that. Shout out. I'm not a Bengals fan, by the way. I'm a Raiders fan, but
I'm not
shout out
either.
to shout out to the Bengals. For beating the Bills last night, but just from Cincinnati, um, what's some things that people can check out in their city? Because you know what, I'm just speaking for people in the South. Not too many
Hmm.
people I know would be interested unless they're, you know what I'm saying, they're
On my
their
side.
family plays in the
Yeah.
NFL or maybe military, but we
Hmm.
normally go to New York, we normally go to DC, Maryland,
Yeah.
up. But what what can you say? Put your city on the map for a second. Put your city on the map.
You know what? Okay, I will say this. Cincinnati is doing, I mean, they doing so much, especially downtown. We got it's a lot of restaurants that they got up and coming. Um, we have here what Taft Theater, they have the Cincinnati Museum, um, Aeronaut Center, of course, the Bengals game, the Cincinnati Red Stadium.
Mhm.
Um, you have US Bank Arena down here. It's a lot to do. I will say Cincinnati to me is more of an art city. Like they have a lot. Like I said, you got it's a lot of art centers down here. So if you're into the art, that would be something that you probably would come to Cincinnati for. Um, like I said, they are building more and more restaurants and things downtown. Of course, it's the gentrification thing going on because they built up all the buildings and just doing a
Mhm.
lot down here. But I will say, for somebody that was born and raised in Cincinnati, it looks so much better. I will say that. I give them that. But they coming in here and turning everything up around, and pushing us out.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That
that's the real scoop. Okay.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
You know what, you brought up gentrification, and it brings me to a good point, and that's my next country. Before I talk all over my mouth, I have not been there. but I'm about to go there because I do have friends there. But a prime example of gentrification, um, I'll give a domestic example, and then I'll give a international example. From a domestic example, you know, the lower ninth ward in New Orleans after Katrina came in '05, like uptown used to be predominantly black.
Mm.
And you know the Calio projects, you know that's where Wayne from, you know Lil Wayne. Shout out to Tunchi. But that area was predominantly black. After Katrina happened, and I would say when I started going back to New Orleans, like after you know everything else society,
Mm-hmm.
people started to rebuild, and the minute I started seeing white people on skateboards in the middle of the hood, I knew
Mm-hmm.
gentrification was coming.
Mm-hmm.
When they out there walking with their dogs, I knew it was coming.
It was coming. Yeah.
I knew it was coming. And then
Yeah.
an international example for me would be um would be Colombia in Medellin. In Medellin, primarily they have a movement going on right now by the locals that you know they're not happy with the amount of gringos, right? They call us gringos when
Mm-hmm. Tourists.
we over there.
Expats.
The yeah, extraneous. The amount of people that are coming to Medellin and raising the rental prices up and pushing everybody on the outskirts of the city.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, here 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 we see it, and we definitely can change it. But the
Mm-hmm.
opposite of that is we actually can create gentrification when we go to these other countries. Just in that
Yeah.
sense, which I
Yeah.
think is pretty. The dynamic is pretty interesting. You
Yeah.
know, to talk about that,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So from a perspective of so you've been to a few places, and what was your first trip with your kids? What was your first trip that you took with your kids? And no matter if it's
Um,
domestic or international, it don't matter. Travel is travel.
oh man. See, I'm a person. I hop in the car. I'll hop in the car and just drive. But we frequent Florida a lot.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So we've been to Panama City, Pensacola, Clearwater. Um, we went to Fort Lauderdale in 2022 on our little family vacation. But yeah, so Florida was definitely about 5 hours from Atlanta. So I would just hop in the car, get to going.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I get jealous. I get jealous all the time with my fam in Atlanta, my fam
Hmm.
in Miami and Orlando and Tampa. Like those flight NYC, like those flight deals are absolutely ridiculous. You know,
Hmm.
Atlanta is a Delta hub. Not really a Delta fan personally,
I,
but for a good deal, I'll take it.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I love Delta, but I'm not one of those people that are stuck on the airline because I've flown every airline
Hmm.
domestically. So yeah, yeah.
I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit person. You know, people hate on me. It is what it
You know
is.
what? I like Spirit,
I'm
but
stacking them points.
I like Spirit, but I haven't flown Spirit in a while. Me and the kids, we flew Frontier to Mexico,
Hmm. Hmm.
and when we went to Fort Lauderdale, we flew Frontier too.
Hmm. How was
Yeah.
that? How was that? How was the dynamic with the first like international trip? What's some of the ways that you use to plan and prepare, and even to the point of packing because
Mm,
you're not just by yourselves. Like
nope.
let's dive into that. What type of apps that you use to find deals? Um, and you know possibly like some of your strategies on packing, getting an understanding of the country, what to do, what not to do, what
Okay.
risk level is that country. Like I would love to hear. We would all love to hear
Okay.
how you able to map that out.
So actually, Mexico was our first international as a family. I've been
Mm-hmm.
other places internationally, so by myself or with other people. But with the kids, Mexico was our first international flight. And as far as preparing, um, of course, I looked to see like what the risk level was. I felt like it wasn't a risk. I don't remember the exact actual number, but I'm a traveler, so I know of course when you travel, I just think domestic or internationally, of course you want to be aware of everywhere you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't really like use any apps per se. Um, I had been researching Mexico, and then the different cities that I did want to originally go to. My son would be 2 on Thanksgiving, so I that started literally after I had him. So, and we left in August of this year. So I had did a lot of planning. Like I had literally, I got this like journal during Black History Month from Target, and I was like, okay, this is my travel little notebook, and literally it's all my travel stuff. Like, and I looked back through it with all of my notes about like the different cities, like if it's family friendly. Like, of course, I look for that because I have kids, and then I want to make sure it's walkable because I'm not taking a car. I want to make sure it's by stores that we can get to very easily. And then also, the beach. Of course, we're going to Mexico, so I want to make sure we are in close proximity to the beach. As far as packing, yes, I'm packing for 5 people. So
Yes.
I definitely try to have a process with that. I love packing cubes, so you definitely got to have those packing cubes on deck. But typically, what I do is okay, so I'll give you an example for this actual trip that we just took to Mexico. And we were there for 60 days. So I only took 2 suitcases. And when I tell you I learned so much about packing just from this trip, I was like, yeah, nah, this ain't gonna happen again. Because I pay overweight fees.
Right.
My luggage were overweight.
God bless you, because I'm always overweight.
Listen, but nah, they not gonna get me again. Nah. I paid $500 leaving Mexico.
That sounds
For
about right.
they won't get me again. No. So anyway, I took 2 big suitcases, and in one I had the kids' clothes and like the enclosed thing with the zipper. I only took them 10 outfits a piece.
Mm.
I took myself. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have too many. I wear a lot of fitness stuff, so I had actually a black luggage bag with all of my fitness stuff in it. So I took that was another thing. So pretty much I had 3 things that I checked in. Um, I made this rookie, no, rookie, whatever you call it, this beginner's mistake. This is what I did. I went to Walmart and bought everything we needed. So that added to the weight.
Oh, yes. You didn't wait
Yeah,
till you got over there. Yeah.
I won't do that again. I know now.
Because it's
But it's just
cheaper.
like when you're entering unfamiliar territory, you just want to be prepared. And I was definitely very overly prepared. And I was like, girl, no, don't ever do that again. So that contributed to the weight going. Um, and let me see, what else did I pack? Of course, I went with a car seat. I went with a stroller. That was about it. But I mean, packing the stuff wasn't hard because I'm used to packing. We travel, so
Mm-hmm.
I pack our stuff. But I only took 10 outfits for them because I'm like, one, we're gonna be at the beach a lot, and then I'm like, we're not really going, places like that, and I'm just
Right.
like, I'm not gonna take all them clothes. So I felt like that was enough, and it was enough. But what I did figure out this trip was that I kind of took a lot of stuff with like prints, and I kind of wish I didn't. So like when we go back in January when I pack, I'm gonna get them like basic color stuff. I might throw in some little patterns, but not too many. Just so of course it can be a little more interchangeable, just as far as clothes wise.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a bad process. I guess just because I'm used to it. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of enjoy that process
Wow,
myself. But
that's amazing. I think another thing is like it's so easy to forget one person's passport.
oh yes.
What's your ritual for that? Like the day prior, like do you just like put it somewhere where you're not gonna lose it? Like because that got to be scary,
Right, that's true.
to get to the airport and then you
And then you
possibly
don't have them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so of course when I travel, I always have a book bag on me. Um, and I had this bag that I got from a baby company that I'm a part of. Actually, they gave it to us last year. It was like a cute little bag that you can like put stuff in. So I put all 5 of our passports inside of there and put it in my book bag. My book bag is going with me. I never go anywhere without that book bag. So of course I kept it in there so I would not forget. Yeah,
Oh Lord.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Mm. Is
Hmm.
it is it anything? Is it anything? Besides the beach, do you find places that have, because a lot of family oriented places, do you make sure that, okay, all right, you're close to the beach, but does it have a playground?
Mm,
Does it
that
have
too.
I know you're not about to give your kids to nobody to watch. I know that. But some people do, they're brave enough to just give their
Well,
kids, they have different Potential
nanny
resorts.
services. Yeah.
They have service. Me personally, I would never do it, but
Okay.
you know,
So look. Okay.
because
So
I would be nervous as hell.
okay. So yes, a playground definitely. Like when I was looking on Airbnb because we stayed in Airbnbs. This was actually my first experience with Airbnb as well in Mexico. I had never stayed in Airbnb, but I had a really really good experience in Mexico. So no complaints there. Okay. So our first Airbnb we stayed in for 27 days. And then I booked one for 3 nights, I believe, because they had a rooftop pool, and the kids wanted a pool. So I booked them a little Airbnb. We was on that roof for every day we were there. And then we went back to the spot we was at the first time and stayed there for another. Ooh, when did we stay there? We stayed there for about maybe less than 20 days, probably like 17 or something like that.
Mhm.
And then the last Airbnb we stayed in, I booked close to Cancun so we could be close to the airport. But that one had a pool as well. But each Airbnb, like I said, served a purpose, a pool, if it's not by the beach. And what's so crazy was the second one I booked that had the rooftop pool, it was right there by the beach. But they didn't want to go to the beach. They
Come on,
wanted to do the pool.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. They
So
don't
they
have to
wanted
worry
to do
about
the pool.
sharks. They don't have to worry about jellyfish. None of that.
Well, you know what they was like the sand was all in our pants, and I'm like, okay, all right, it's y'all world. It's y'all world, but okay, we'll do this pool 4 days straight. But what was the other part? You asked me another part as well with that question.
Oh no, just basically choosing like family oriented
Okay.
family oriented excursions, and then also they have resorts that
Okay.
potentially have daycare
Yeah.
ability, and it's not a knock at it.
Yeah.
I know you got to sign paperwork. I know if
Yeah.
anything happens, you can sue them. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I don't know for me it's not necessarily a
It's no
fear.
go.
It's just yeah, because when I think about Mexico, first of all, shout out to all my friends in Mexico. I have a lot of friends in Mexico, but when you think about Mexico, the first thing that comes to mind is human trafficking.
Well, my grandmother kidnapping.
Right, right. From that
Uh,
perspective,
per my grandmother kidnapping. Yeah. When she found out I was going, so I don't know if you were going to ask me this question, but when she found out that I was going to Mexico with my children, she told me, "Why you didn't do this when you had no kids?" And two, don't you know they kidnapping people? I said, Grandma, they kidnap people everywhere, every day, all day.
hmm
Mexico is not just the only place. I mean, people get kidnapped here right in your hometown. What are you saying? I was,
good.
and then we got on the topic, and she was like, "Well, why you just can't go nowhere else?" I said, "Grandma, I'm going to Mexico. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know what to tell you." I mean,
That's the
I,
reason. That's the reason why I made that comment. Not necessarily for me, but I'm speaking for the majority of people and what they think. Right?
mm-hmm,
Is that I'm so glad I brought that up, and that'll kind of lead us to our next point: is go and see a country for yourself, experience a country for
mm-hmm,
yourself, whether it's solo, whether it's with a group trip, or whether it's with kids.
mm-hmm,
It's a different experience for each category.
mm-hmm.
Go see for yourself.
Yeah,
Go see for
and
yourself.
yeah, and that's what I had to do because I'm not gonna lie, my mom was so uptight as well. She didn't want me to go. I remember the day before I was packed, and she looked at me and she was like, "You're not scared?" I said, "No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I don't live. I don't live my life on fear, and I don't because I feel like if I was on edge every day, all day, that's miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Who want to live like that? So
That's
no,
facts.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna go. I know we're going into unfamiliar territory, but I'm up for the challenge. And that's just kind of what I had to tell her and my grandmother. My dad was on board. He was just like, you grown. He was like, I know you would never put you and your kids in a situation to where y'all in harm. And I'm like, true. I mean, that's what it is. I wouldn't, So, but, after we got there, my mom, of course, she FaceTiming every day, all day. So she felt she was at ease, once we got there. My grandmother was too. But it was just, I think the initial thought of actually getting there and like being there, that was their fear. I don't know. But
Mm.
go back because I didn't touch on the subject about the nanny thing.
Yes,
Okay,
please
so
elaborate, please, because
okay,
we would love to know. Please
all
share.
right. So the first Airbnb we stayed at, the hosts, they were amazing. I'm not gonna lie, they were amazing. It was oh gosh, it was a man and a woman couple. I'm trying to remember his name, Lord Jesus, and I can't. It's at the top of my tongue. But they were amazing. Let's say that. Amazing. They made me feel at home, very comfortable. We stayed in their guest house. So in their house, their guest house was at the bottom. We had our own entrance, and then they stayed like up top. So very welcoming. I mean, at home I had fresh coffee outside every day waiting on me. So, it kind of spoiled me a little bit. Okay. But what I will say is they did offer nanny services. And I was going to have a few dates with myself. And basically, I ended up only having one. It wasn't really, I mean, I got out for a few hours, but I ended up letting them, because what their thing was, they don't go inside. Like, they have like a garden area. I don't know if you see my Instagram, but like they have like, if you see anything with like a garden outside with a lot of greenery, that was the
Mhm.
outside of the house. And so they had that whole area, and they're artists. So they had like tables and stuff like that. And they did a lot of art with the kids while we were there. So pretty much they just kept the kids outside. The woman, Ms. Jardine, I think when I left, the kids had needed to eat lunch. So she like helped them prepare lunch. The doors to the space I kept open every day, all day. So the doors were open. But basically they just went in. She helped them make lunch. But they stayed outside the whole time. They were painting. Like my kids are older, so they gonna tell me everything they did. So that's what they gave me the rundown when I came back. But I had went for a wax and to get my eyebrows threaded. And originally they were with me, like I had did it before, and they went with me to get that stuff done. But this particular time, the wax in place, their air hair went out, so she had to like reschedule an appointment for me. And so I ended up going by my. I told her I was like, hey, I'll just go by myself. It's okay. Just keep the kids. So I did like a 4 hour solo little date, and on Fifth Avenue, I went to get my wax, and then I went to Senor Frogs, had me a big old big old
You
margarita.
can't be in Mexico without a margarita.
I had me a big old margarita and I ate, and I was just chilling, feeling the vibes just by myself because I hadn't had a break the whole time we were there by myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed those little 4 hours. And I guess because I felt that trust. As a mother, we get an instinct. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
you kind of know when you're around people that you just like, yeah, nah, I would never leave my kids with them. And just with her, I didn't feel that, and I felt really. I mean, evidently, I helped build trust, and she kept my kids. You know what I mean? And when I came back, they were in one piece. They were still there, and they were themselves. So I never thought I would either, but I did. So yeah.
Mm. That's amazing. You know what? Thinking about this from for a perspective, you're a strong, you're intelligent, ambitious, business minded woman. You know,
Mm-hmm.
single woman. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to being a single woman, and um, I know the not having fear, but just the mindset of, can you dive into the mindset of being a single woman and being comfortable to just travel with your kids all over the globe. Because that within itself, because everybody talks about the solo
Mm-hmm.
female solo
Mm-hmm.
traveler. This is entirely different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Entirely different. You have to have a deeper level of
Patience and
patience. Right,
every
right,
listen.
right.
Okay, yes, this is so good because I've been trying to figure out the angle I want to come at this because I'm like, yeah, people don't nobody talk about this. So what I will say is, with me choosing to homeschool them, they're with me 24/7 now. I have, and then with us being on the road to traveling, they're with me like literally we're all together all day every day. And
Mhm.
so don't nobody talk about literally. I mean, sometimes I can be having a great amazing morning, and one of them kids can wake up and in their mood, and it just flips my whole mood around because it's just like, man, only if I had so and so here to help me or relieve me, I would be okay. But it can get a little lonely. It can get a little
Mhm.
lonely. You know, you might have those moments to where you get aggravated a little more. Um, and my kids are to the age to where I can tell them, like I remember I had to tell my son, I said, give me a moment. I need a moment because y'all are doing a whole lot, you know, and they're at that stage to where now I have to tell them, just go sit over there. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Because y'all, in my eyes, they do too much. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they my kids. I love them to
Yep.
death. But it's just in some instances and moments, you know, and they're kids, so they don't really know and comprehend what's going on, but they just do a lot for nothing. And I'm just like, hey, and it could even be as simple as here, pure example, the remote in the Airbnb. You know what they would do? Hide it from each other. If one go to the bathroom, they looking for it, they arguing about it. I'm like, listen, this is not y'all TV nor y'all remotes. Can we chill? But every day they arguing about TV remote. And literally, you know what I had to start doing? I start turning that thing off. I said, go in that garden, go grab your book, let's do your work. Because see here, y'all getting off track.
Mm.
We're not going to Mexico to sit in front of a TV and for y'all to argue over a TV remote. And this was every day. So yes, I started turning off the TV and I told them go find something to do.
That's amazing. And, when you think about that from a sense of, from a cultural perspective, like how have your kids transitioned? Like how are you able to get them to have an open mind about new cultures? Because you're not talking about like most people that listen to this podcast, they might be in a country max 14 days max,
Mm-hmm.
but you're there for a few months, and
Mm-hmm.
how do you immerse yourself in the culture, even from a language, a language barrier?
Mm-hmm.
Do you speak Spanish? Do any of your kids are practicing Spanish at this point in time? And
So
how do you get past that barrier, to um
interact
try to
with
have
that.
some cohesiveness with the locals?
Okay, so the Airbnb, and that's why I love the Airbnb that we stayed in. It was actually in a local neighborhood. That was another reason I chose it. So it was in a local neighborhood. So we did see locals. I did interact with some of the locals. Whether it be at the kid park, talking about them asking because and it's so crazy. They'll come up to you and ask you, "Are you American?" You know, I got
Mm-hmm.
that quite a bit. They'll ask you that. But we stayed in the local neighborhood, which I wanted because I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see the not so the not so pretty side of Mexico. You know, everybody goes to Mexico and everybody wants to showcase the hype on Mexico, which is the tourist side, right? But nobody is showing literally next door to where you could be staying at where it's vacant, it's abandoned. Even when we stayed at the place that had the rooftop pool, I could look over and I can look into someone's home. Like literally looking to their home.
Mm-hmm.
They might have a door, but they don't got no roof. So like I wanted my kids to see that. And, they seen a lot of stray dogs. There's a lot of stray dogs in Mexico, which I was really surprised about. I never knew about. It's so many stray dogs, and I had to tell them literally the first interaction we had, we were close to a Walmart. We were like 10 minutes walking from a Walmart. So that was a little trip we took once a week. We would walk to Walmart, get what we needed. But in the midst of walking, we would come out the gate and we would see dogs. And I had to let them know. I said, hey, that dog isn't paying you any attention. Just keep walking straight. And it became a thing they got accustomed to because we seen stray dogs every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was also in the midst of like we had an interaction with some kids at a park. They were talking Spanish, but I was using Translate. What was it? The Translate app. Um, but after a while, I think I stopped because I kind of got used to certain phrases that we were like places we were frequent. If I needed to interact with someone in Spanish, like I kind of knew the phrases or whatever. But I took Spanish in middle school, high school, and in college. And now I'm not gonna lie, I wish I would have paid attention a little more because I could have been really good in Spanish. Like, but I know certain phrases as well. And my kids, they took Spanish in school as well, and then they're also still taking Spanish online.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Yo en practico español 3 de semanas con mi maestro. Mi maestro es colombiano y ella vive en Cali.
Wait,
Ujú.
what?
Yes. Yo hablas español intermedio.
You just said
I
yo
speak
what?
Spanish. I speak Spanish intermediate.
Intermediate. Okay,
Intermediate Spanish.
I heard intermediate. Okay, got
Yes, yes. Shout out to my teacher Paola. If you need a teacher, I got you. I got you.
I do. I actually ran
Got you.
across I'm in a few groups and there's this black chick. She did a challenge. I still get her emails and stuff. Her name is oh gosh, Kashawn the Lamb or something like that. But she does Spanish as well.
Yeah, I seen her. Her reels are awesome. I seen her.
Okay,
I'm
so
in
you
her
know who I'm
group.
talking
Actually,
about.
she got a community. She got
Yeah,
a broadcast
I get
channel on
the emails.
Instagram. Yeah,
I get
yeah,
I
yeah,
get the emails.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
I'm
thinking
not
about doing her
subscribed to a
stuff.
newsletter. I'm not subscribed to a newsletter, but she has started a broadcast channel on her page.
Okay. Yeah.
On her page. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Uh huh.
about joining her community. Yeah. Because I definitely want to, yeah, I want to. Being there is like, it makes you want to learn it. Like, yeah. Well, it did for me.
Since you brought up about the locals, what parts of Mexico, what parts of Mexico have you been in any uncharted paths that you could possibly bring up, like outside of like I call it the big two, right? Well, big three. You
Hmm.
have Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and you have Tulum. Tulum just built that new airport. You got Atlanta, you got New York, you got all these major cities that but to start having a lot of increased tourism to the country.
Hmm.
But if you want to share some other parts of Mexico, maybe people not thinking about that's on the outskirts of these cities, or maybe the West Coast, North, whatever you want to share about Mexico.
So we went, okay, so originally when I was in my planning phase, we were actually going to Merida.
Okay, okay,
And I'm not gonna lie, I changed it because that 4 hour bus ride got to me. I wasn't gonna fly into Merida. I was flying into Cancun and going to get there, but I was like, listen, with 4 kids, I'm like, no. So then I kind of switched the last minute. That's why we went to Playa. So we went to Playa del
gotcha.
Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we were going to take a little trip for a weekend. Actually, so instead of that rooftop, we were actually going to go to Tulum. But I was trying to actually do a collaboration with a certain space, and the people just wouldn't get back to me as fast. So that's why I ended up doing that other space. But then I also was like, Tulum, I'm like, it's not too much kid stuff to do. And then there's another couple that I know that travel full time with their kids, and they were there, and she was just like, yeah, it's nothing outside of the resort for the kids to do. And I was just like, yeah, nah. So we're not going to do that. But then, I mean, like I said, we went to Cancun for a few days. I honestly really don't care to go to Cancun because I know it's not for people for me.
I'm from Louisiana, this is why I'm glad that we're having this discussion, because
Yeah.
you would think that the first country that I would visit is Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I haven't stepped foot in Mexico yet
Really? Oh
because
wow.
of that. Because of that. Now, don't get
Okay.
me wrong. Yes, one the Chichen Itza pyramid, one of the seven wonders of the world. I was blessed to see Machu Picchu, which was
Mm-hmm.
another one. I seen that this year. Absolutely amazing. I'm gonna get there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just the fact that that's the reason why I want to have this discussion with you, because I think sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself too, just because the country or certain areas of the country is highly touristic doesn't mean that you have to engulf yourself in that. You can
Mm-hmm.
still get to that destination, use the infrastructure, use buses, use other forms of transportation, and go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else in the country.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it, with Mexico.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
against Mexico. It's just
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. It makes sense. But so we didn't go to Tulum. But in January we're going to Merida, Mexico. So I am preparing myself to take that 4 hour bus.
y'all hear that first. Get y'all. Let's say up a prayer for. Let's get the ancestors to pray for as well, for that 4 hour bus ride with the
Yeah,
kiddos.
yeah. But I want to go and experience Merida for myself. I've
Mm.
heard about the heat and being in Playa. If you know how the humidity is there, I know I can handle Mexico. I know I can
Yeah,
handle it. It was hot in Playa. I mean, very hot and humid. It was really just the humidity. I mean, 70 degrees humidity just about every day.
that
And
sound
then
like
me
that sound
trying to
like
work out.
Cartagena.
And
That
then me
sound
trying
like
to work out.
Cartagena.
Like I would have to wait. I used to have to wait till nighttime to work out because it was no way I was doing that in the morning or in the afternoon because no, I couldn't.
Would you say that? Would you say that Mexico has been like your most favorite family destination so far, or what other destinations would you recommend for family destinations, or
Um,
more so family friendly?
I mean, I've enjoyed Mexico, which is why I'm going back because I feel like I have unfinished business there, which might sound crazy,
Hmm.
but I want to do more exploring, and so that's why I'm going back. Because originally I had planned to go to Costa Rica in January, but because I like the Mexico so much, I'm going back to explore more cities. Well, more cities.
Look, well, I'm not knocking Mexico, but when you look at Mexico, Mexico is huge.
It's very huge. That's why
And
I'm like,
Mexico has a vast terrain. I'm more like an outdoorsy type of person. I like to hike. I
mm-hmm,
like to,
mm-hmm.
jump off mountains, and I mean, bungee jump. I'm that type of person that I'll raise my life insurance policy by 250K. Make sure that my son is good, and then just go do it. Costa Rica's a vibe too. I was there like the beginning of February. Costa
Okay,
Rica's a vibe. Shout out
okay,
to my homie. He owns a restaurant in Costa Rica.
okay,
His parents originally from Costa Rica, but he moved back 10 years ago, so he's been there for a decade now.
okay,
So
okay.
shifting into what you consider yourself. It's the new term, right? It's the sexy term, right? Digital nomad, digital nomad life. Um, so let's dive into your business. Let's talk about it. Like based on the platform you created, I just want to give this opportunity for you to share your business. What made you want to shift gears and get into that particular space? Focused on specifically women and
Mm-hmm.
empowering women, and I think that's absolutely amazing. And I just want to give this opportunity to share that story, that part of the story. About your business and how you transition.
Okay. I mean, so for me, I've always been, I guess you would say, I was one of those college girls to where I used to do a lot of promotion. So like the marketing promotion company. So I used to have a 9 to 5. I used to have like a work study job in college, but outside of that, that money was nothing. So I always held on to like little jobs that I could do, with little quick money and, it's paying at that time about $18 an hour. So I've always had my mindset has always been different to know that as I get older, I'm not really gonna work no 9 to 5 because I don't like being strained to no one's schedule. But when I started the Fearless Mommy, at that time, initially it was, of course, to connect with other moms online. Um, and of course, it has grown from that. So I connect with all women. But what I will say is that the trajectory of who I'm connecting with has kind of changed because now I guess you would kind of say I'm speaking more of my truth. I am a single mother. So it's like I can't really, where I'm at, not all women will feel what I'm saying. I'm a single mom. So a married woman really won't relate to what I'm saying. So I wouldn't say that I'm kind of niching down, but I
Mhm.
am in a way. So my messaging and the flow of what I'm saying in my captions and stuff is kind of changing, just because I want to target more single moms because they'll understand exactly where I'm coming from. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So that's kind of something I'm working on. I mean, it's been there. It's just that sometimes we, just fall into the tunnel of trying to talk to everybody, and when you feel like you get stagnant, you got to just kind of reevaluate, where you are in business and just where you're trying to go. And so, at this time, I'm not in a relationship or anything, so I just have to learn to speak my truth, and then the people that feel it will come. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Definitely. Do you see yourself? it seems like Mexico is drawing on you. Do you see yourself potentially, maybe potentially seeing if you can get a digital nomad visa in Mexico?
I thought about it because
Going through that process.
I thought about it because I actually I actually thought about probably maybe even staying there for a year. I don't know per se yet. It's kind of it's one of those things that I'm gonna fast about soon
Mm.
because I it's been hitting my mind. You know how you get those thoughts. You know
Yeah,
your mind is doing 10 things, 20 things, and yeah. So it's been in my mind, and yeah, I'm gonna have to fast on that and just pray about it because yeah, I would like to do it though. Yeah.
yeah. That process is fairly easy. Colombia just started one as well. I've been looking into seeing
Hmm.
what I can do in that space. I mean, if I had to choose right now, what country that I would want to retire in, quote
Hmm.
unquote retire, because
Hmm.
retirement is a number, y'all. It's not an age.
Right.
But for me, it would be either the second one is gonna shock you when I say this, but Colombia and El Salvador. I would definitely retire in El Salvador.
Well, El Salvador is on my list actually.
Hmm.
I
It's
was actually
absolutely
looking that
amazing.
up last weekend. Yeah, I was looking that up.
I
Mhm.
got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
I was looking El Salvador up, Guatemala. I was looking at Belize, but I was looking for. I guess for me, what I do is when I'm looking at something, I go on Airbnb just to see what the living stuff is, because
Hmm.
yeah, and I didn't see much, and so it kind of turned me off.
Belize is one of those countries, and I already know. When my friend hears this, she's she's gonna try to crack jokes. But we got into this debate this morning about if you take away the cruise destination. Me personally, I don't see too many people going to Belize, and when I mean that with the
Mm.
utmost respect. What I mean by that is that certain parts of Belize are highly touristic, and the prices are even high for Americans to even want to stay there long term. It's ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So the tourism of Belize, if you listen to this, you know, y'all try to work y'all magic, man. Y'all, you actually have people like us that want to go there long term, but
Yeah,
you
them
know,
prices was ridiculous. I mean, I stopped looking because I was like, who finna pay that? I'm not finna pay that in a month. Like, no, no, no.
definitely,
Yeah, no.
definitely.
Mm-mm.
It's pretty interesting. I'm gonna go back to a statement that you made previously in the interview about letting your kids stay with the Airbnb host for like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm pretty interested to know how do you balance your time between your personal life and you know your kids being homeschooled. They're always with you, but how do you balance that time out? For some of the mothers that's out there listening and single fathers as well. I don't want to exclude y'all either.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I have those early mornings.
Mm,
Like when they go to sleep, sometimes, yeah, sometimes when they are asleep, I would just stay up and I wouldn't probably go to sleep till about 4 o'clock. But in that moment for me, it's quiet, so peaceful. And what I've been trying to do all day over a span of maybe 10 hours,
hmm.
I can do within a few hours. And so I've learned, honestly, I've just learned to that's one of the compromises, unfortunately, that I have to deal with. Just until, maybe I have someone that can help, take them off my hands for a little bit or whatever. But that's been honestly, one of the only things that I've been able to do is just when they're asleep, that's when I get up and I just do what I need to do. Hmm.
I got
Yep.
you. What made you, and I want to share this because I don't want to bypass this. I know you shared about your business,
Hmm.
but when what made you develop that first retreat, that first, you know, developing that to where, you have you gathering like-minded individuals. Like what made you come up with that concept of, you know, creating a retreat to help empower others.
What retreat? You talking about
Your
the mom
retreat?
retreats?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I call it retreat. Yeah, yeah. You looking at
So
me like Retreat.
Well, I was like, wait, what retreat? The series. Okay, so honestly, I don't know. I'm one of those people when I tell you I get so many ideas every day, all day. And my notes in my
Isn't it so
iPhone.
hard to just stick like focus on one, manifest that?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
so hard. Like, I'll show you something that's look. I literally have a tablet with a light bulb in it. I write down
Wow.
all of my
Wow.
ideas in there,
Wow.
all of them. Like, soon as it hit my head, I write
Yeah.
it down. I write it
Yeah.
down.
Honestly, I really don't remember, but I knew that I wanted to just hear from other moms. Because I want to say at that moment I was just trying to figure out, like, I know I can't be the only one, like trying to find some type of balance between trying to build these businesses, take care of these kids, and just be me. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard. It's hard out here.
It
And
is.
so I just came up with questions, and I remember just emailing the first few people and like, hey, I got this series. I would love for you to be a part of it. And of course, once they said yeah, I will send them the questions, and then of course put it together for my blog. And before I did the podcast, I had actually wanted to start it on doing video, and I wanted to do it on my YouTube channel, but that's in the midst of COVID. And so that's when the podcast came, and I was like, a podcast. But then I was like, oh no. But then God just tugged at me again, like, no, do the podcast. So that's when I went on ahead and did the podcast, and now we're here at the podcast. So we're gonna get this podcast together though, because
Oh yeah,
yeah.
don't worry about it. I
Look.
got you. Don't worry about it. I already told you. I already told you outside of the studio. Don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. I wanna share some some statistics with you, and you probably already heard it on recent episodes, but everybody's reaction is different when I make these statistics, and so only 49% of African Americans in this country, in the United States, travel domestically, and then only 17%, and this included other minorities, only 17% travel internationally. Out of the 17%, 7.1% of African Americans travel internationally. When I throw these statistics at you, what do you think about when I throw these numbers at you? Are you surprised by these numbers?
I'm not surprised. And I'm gonna tell you why. One, women with children. I'm gonna just speak from as a woman with
Mm-hmm.
children. They feel like, one, they not gonna do it, or they can't do it. They might say they don't have the money because they ain't never looked it up and seen how much it's gonna be. Or you just got those people that they just don't care to travel. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
for them to see the world, nor do they care for their children to see the world. So you 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 have those people that may make excuses on taking an international trip versus going somewhere domestically and spending 3 times more. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I looked on Airbnb, and when I tell you the Airbnbs in domestically, I'm like, who y'all think finna pay $200 a night for an Airbnb in the States? It baffles my mind.
In
You know what
Baton
I mean? And
Rouge.
it's crazy. No, we going not yeah, no. But honestly, I just feel like a lot of women are scared to do it. In my single moms, they're scared to travel with kids, because even when people see me, they like, oh, you traveling with four? I'm like, it's like they just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we here.
Yeah,
We gonna be here.
that's crazy. And you know what? Like, breaking the myth of travel is expensive. You're a true definition of breaking that myth, because
Mm-hmm.
people say, travel is so expensive, so expensive, so expensive. Most people go by themselves. You going
Yeah.
with you plus four of the kids, and you
Right.
making it happen. And that's
Right.
why, and I'm gonna say this in front of everybody that's watching and listening right now. I give you your flowers now. You know what I'm saying? I
Thank
have
you.
the utmost respect for you. Like I said, your tenacity and everything that you're doing in business, everything that you're doing to make sure that your kids get a different experience of the
Mm-hmm.
world that they wouldn't get in an institutionalized system.
Yep.
Which is awesome that they're being homeschooled. Which
Mm-hmm.
we could talk about that for hours, right?
Right.
Just that difference in the
Right.
two. But
Yeah.
that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the last question is for the the single women specifically, for the single women with kids, or the single woman that's on the fence about traveling. What is your, I guess, your message that you can use to tell them, like the ones that's on the fence, like, how should I really do this? Like, what can you tell them to give them that push and that motivation to say, you know what, just do it.
Honestly, for me, what I would just say is make a plan. Okay, because you got to have some idea. I'm sure they've had ideas, but it's that idea where they stop and they're like, nah, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
one, make a plan. Two, do your research, but understand you can only YouTube so much. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's fact.
uh, I mean, you would get YouTubed out, and I get it because I was there. You want to see what videos are on the city, what can you get, but it ain't nothing like it to get there and just be in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, one, make a plan. Two, do your research. And then two, honestly, is just do it. Get that flight. Make sure you have your passport, of course, because you can't go nowhere without the passport. But make sure you got your passport. Make sure you got that passport and just do it. Because I feel like if you don't do it, you're just gonna keep saying, I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's gonna be too late. You know? So just you just gotta put them fears aside and just roll with the punches. That's all I can say.
And that's why we got people like you out there doing it, killing the game, inspiring women to just push forward and
Mm-hmm.
to you know besides the societal norms and all the negativity that comes with the word single. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's so much negativity that comes with that word,
Yeah.
and people don't realize that being single also cultivate strength as well. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different type of strength. It's a
Oh
different
yeah.
type of fear.
Oh yeah.
Fear. Well, technically fearless. I was trying to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different level that
Yeah.
you have whenever you're by yourself, and you have no choice but to wake up and grind. You already brought it up.
Oh
You're
yeah.
an early riser. You waking up and you grinding and you doing what you got to do. And I commend you
Mm-hmm.
for that, Queen. I commend you for
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And lastly, I want to take this time out again for you to share your information, how people can follow you, how people can support you, support your channels, no matter if that's on social networks, YouTube, XYZ, or from from a woman's perspective that wants to support you, in your business as well. I want to give this opportunity for you to share all of your information. And guys, that for those that are listening and watching, is also going to be in the show notes. Everything is going to be in the show notes, but I want to give her this opportunity to share our platform.
Okay. So first, I want to say I do have an ebook called "Thoughts of a Single Woman." So that is out currently. And if you follow me on Instagram, or if you don't, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube is at the Fearless Mommy. And in my link on Instagram, you can find that link for "Thoughts of a Single Woman." It's the ebook that I wrote. It's $9. So if you want to support a girl, do your thing. Do your thing.
Hmm.
My first series, and then I have the second series of that ebook in there. I actually threw the first part in there as a bonus for people that purchase it. But basically, it's just it's a 10-day journal entry. And the first one I got a really, really good response out of, and so I just did part two. And so it's kind of one of those things to where before I went to sleep, I would journal. And so whatever thoughts that I'm feeling, I will literally share. And the first, like I said, the first one, the reviews were crazy. I mean, some of them had me crying because some of the women was just like, it's just so relatable. And then sometimes some people just don't say things out loud. And I was able to write that and for other people to read it. So if you want to support that, do that. And I can actually give you the link if you want that for that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
To put in the show
Gonna put
link.
all that in there. Got you. I
Um,
got you.
but other than that, yeah, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. So if y'all want to support me on YouTube, like I said, it's at the Fearless Mommy. I'm trying to grow that channel. So yeah, that's about it, y'all.
Yes. And look, I know people are gonna want to follow up. So definitely, I already told you this. Your family. In the
Yeah,
future, we're gonna have future collabs.
yeah,
IG live and the whole 9 yards.
yeah.
We can run it back. We can always run
Okay,
it back.
okay.
But again, I really do appreciate you for coming on, sharing your story. Continue to inspire. Continue to we're the new Green Book. That's the reason why I called this podcast the new Green Book, because we as entrepreneurs, we as travel and lifestyle creators, we're out there going to different parts of the world and sharing our experiences and trying to bring that back to motivate primarily the diaspora, really everybody, but specifically the diaspora, that you can do this. You can do this. And for those that are really vibing with the podcast, the last thing that I would say, for those that are vibing with the podcast, be sure to leave a review. Be sure to follow the podcast page, The Melanated Traveler. Be sure to follow me, Astonor Williams. And sharing and supporting is free too as well. Make sure y'all go support our ebook. Go support our ebook. Go support our business. But also, when she has content and she produces content, engage with her content. Like, share, subscribe. I mean, and I know you're gonna agree with this from a creative perspective. Just like Erica Badu say, I'm sensitive about my shit.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you work a long time, you have good concepts for reels, or you might have good concepts for photography. Like, show love, man. Show love to her.
Yeah.
Show love to Niesha. Show love to her. So I really do appreciate you for coming on the platform. From this point forward, like I told you, you family. I really do appreciate you. And y'all know my motto. I'll see you at the top, because the bottom is just too crowded. Peace.